Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of the Mental Health Pilot. As it's approaching Christmas time, I thought I would read a poem that I wrote around the festive season called Tinsel and Beer. Tinsel is caught in the breeze from the door. Without choice, he's back on Sword Beach. A Christmas decoration becomes barbed wire. He has a drink from his pint, but only feels the dry thought he had on that terrible day. Beer tastes like metallic blood. Party revellers' voices become a dull, nonsensical mush. Flickering fairy lights are now raking deathly shards from a German MG-34 machine gun. Nobody notices him shake. A slap on the back, like his corporal did back then. Happy Christmas, Tommy. I don't want to move. Please don't let me die. Beer spills down his leg. The bar door opens wide. Those same blue eyes meet his green eyes. Comrades, together again. A smile cracks Tommy's face. It's only tinsel after all. If somebody had asked me if I was going to be a poet when I was a young soldier, I would have laughed at them. But it's been extremely therapeutic over the years. And I need to get back into doing more poetry, to be honest. How I came about writing at all was when I was in denial about having anything wrong with me regarding mental health. I met a counsellor. She assessed me and she was the first one to use the words, I think you're suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, something that I'd never actually really understood or heard much about. I took it upon her saying that as a bit of a slur, a slight, an insult, even though that isn't what she meant. And I sort of clammed up. She told me to go away and write down all my thoughts and feelings. And that's what I did. And I went home, I got a book, a pencil, and I scribbled and scribbled and scribbled and scribbled. And it all just poured out. Because it's so much easier to write a letter than speak to someone face to face. And that was the beginning. It was an extremely cathartic process. It opened a dam inside my mind of release, and I just let it all out. And that went on from scribbling on a piece of paper onto getting published books, which I also didn't set out to do. I suppose I'm an accidental author. And that's when Still Watching Men Burn came about, which has it all down, notes and all. Sometimes when I read passages back through it, I actually can't believe I'm the same person. Over the years, I've had ups and downs like everybody does. You have steady periods and then you have down periods. The worst period in recent memory was when my tinnitus peaked to the point where it completely pushed me over the edge. It was like having an alarm clock inside my head going off, and that's when I completely flipped, had a nervous breakdown and tried to commit suicide, spending nearly a year in hospitals. But luckily, they reset me somehow by doing electric shock treatment, which sounds barbaric because they're basically electrocuting your brain, but it worked for me. When I was in my basically a comatose type state, I didn't know where I was, what I was. I was in a strange another world. I was almost like it was I died, but I was still alive. And being in that state gave me the idea for my stories, my books. And the last book that I've just wrote, I've finished it now, and I'm just checking it through and making sure everything's right. Relates to my time in that 9 month period when I was in a different place. And I would just like to share with the world or my couple of subscribers that the name of my new book that I'll be releasing very shortly is called 1982 Ragnarok. I can't tell you too much about it because I don't want to spoil it, because you've got to read it. But Ragnarok will be preceded by cruel winters and moral chaos. Giants and demons approaching from all points of the compass will attack the gods, who will meet them and face death like heroes. I do let a couple of people read my books previously to publishing them to get a bit of feedback. And Stanislav M. Glazunov has written, if Stephen King and Andy McNab wrote a joint book, so that'll give you a little tiny insight into it. And this is my quote: when I returned to the Falklands in 2007, it felt like I had returned to hell. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make heaven or of hell or a hell of heaven. John Milton. He's right. John was right. So I'm looking forward to getting that one out. Believe it or not, I've never ever written to make money, because unless you write a bestseller, you don't make money. Mine's therapeutic. Mine helps with my PTSD, my mental health, and that's why I encourage others to do so, right, if they can. It certainly saved my life in one way. Writing. It's a tremendous asset that we've got, and it actually doesn't cost anything, and it's better than taking drugs. It certainly is. Like this one, Sticks and Stones. 6 when I held a stick. Bang, bang, you're dead. Bobby fell in the mud. Yanks and Japs, we played till sunset. All lived and died and laughed and bled. 13 when I held a cadet rifle. Bang, bang, the cardboard. Target hit on the range. Young soldiers, bruised by the recoil. Smell of cordite now registered in my brain. 16 when I fired a howitzer. Massive bang, huge recoil, huge shell slammed in the breech, screeching death towards the ranges, churning up soil. 19 when I fired a missile. Bang, whoosh as it left the beams, direct hit on enemy jet. Huge fireball, forever in my dreams. 6 when my rifle was a stick. When Bobby can rise from the dead, the war won before bedtime. Dirty holes in my jeans, my rifle safely hidden under my garden shed. Because that's how it all started, playing with toys, toy soldiers in the garden, toy tanks, throwing mud balls at them, then joining the army cadets, coming out of drill night with the uniform on in the 1970s, running up and down the hills with sticks, shooting each other. I knew what I had to do. I knew what I wanted to do. The other choice would have been going to the shipyard, which most other people did where I lived. The shipyard that now make the nuclear submarines. So I hope people obviously like 1982 Ragnarok, and it'll be out soon. I know at the moment there's not many people watching this, but once again, I'm treating this like a form of therapy. People become consumed and obsessed with numbers. And if you do, it's like I tell people about writing. If you start writing, and the reason you start writing is to become rich, you're probably going to be disappointed. But if you get enjoyment from it, then what does it matter? Well, it's been -9 in Cumbria where I live. And I'm lucky that I'm in a warm house with clothing and food, comfort. Just like to give a thought to those that are on the streets, and many of them, according to figures, 6,000 homeless veterans, which I find shocking. But that's the world we're in. So, if you've watched this and interests you at all, and you know anybody that's into writing or wants to share a journey with someone that's got mental health problems and doesn't mind talking about it and PTSD, then please pass it on, please share it, and please subscribe. And I'll try and upload as much as I can. So for now, from the Mental Health Pilot, goodbye, and remember, be yourself.